So Lamar Jackson spoke with reporters for the first time at 2025 training camp, and my, oh my, does he have visions for what this offense could very well consist of coming up this season.
I believe our offense has no limits because we got guys that can play any position. You know, like you just said, like Zay going to slide, got D-Hop outside, Bait outside. Man, it's no roof. You know, the ceiling's unlimited, you know, for our guys. And I really don't want to get our offense away. You pretty much just put Zay on the spot, put me on the spot. We're going to keep it under the radar until teams got to see us.
I believe it. An MVP caliber campaign, obviously, that was worthy and maybe representative of what should have been an MV3. Voters had another idea, but I think we know how players and coaches and executives, well, some executives, how they feel about this player. Look at how PFF feels about him based on their rankings and metrics. Lamar ranked first in terms of his passing grade against cover 3 with a 91.3 overall number. Big time. That is first league-wide. And a passing grade against cover 6, first 92.5. Guys, I think at this point, you've heard what I've said this week about predicting that we've seen the statistical peak of Lamar Jackson. Am I confident in that? Of course not, because Lamar has earned the right for us to sit here and think at this point in the year prior to the season that anything is possible for number 8. But what I'm not convinced that we've seen yet is his peak when it comes to greatness, is his peak when it comes to the upward trajectory that he is trending in the month of January when it matters the most in the postseason. I don't think we've seen anywhere close to what his ceiling is. Lamar last year, just statistically, in case you forgot, a 66.7 completion percentage, over 4,100 passing yards, 41 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, which is insane, 45 total touchdowns. Okay. The guy was absolutely electric. And oh, by the way, he contributed on the ground as he so often does as well. We know how Lamar does it. And it's not going to surprise any of us. And by the way, I was just searching for the number so that I didn't forget. He had 915 rushing yards last year. Okay. Insanity. Good for 6.6 per carry. Played in all 17 games. Was healthy. And so Lamar is Lamar. He's earned the right to get up there at the podium and say, this offense has absolutely no limits. He also went in a different direction in terms of what could be next for him. Yeah, it's year 8. But this dude's still young. Even for football terms, he's still young.
Another level for you still?
Yeah. I'm only 28. I'm really just getting started for real.
I'm only 28. I'm just getting started for real. Okay? Also, when asked about his historic 2024 season, as Sarah transcribed, he said, I was all right. Could have been better. Then the follow-up, a lot of people, this was a different part of the interview, a lot of people will look at your numbers and say, gosh, how can you get better? Do you think there's another level for you still? Yeah, I'm only 28. I'm only just getting started. For real. That right there, Lamar Jackson has earned the right. Earned the right to speak like that. And again, it wouldn't surprise me if he finds a way to one-up himself. Something that has always followed him throughout his career, as we know, since that 2018 evening that the Ravens traded back into the first round to go and get their franchise quarterback, has been the Super Bowl, this elusive Lombardi trophy that he guaranteed he would bring to Baltimore in a post-drafting interview moments after hearing his name called as he slipped to 32nd in that interview with Deion Sanders. Well, it's not often that he's even been receptive last year or two to entertaining these questions in a press conference setting when it comes to the Super Bowl. But perhaps, being that it's the start of training camp, he'll address it once and then not touch it with a 10-foot pole moving forward. Regardless, here's how he handled it yesterday.
To be honest, I'm really not trying to think that far, because every time we have those discussions, man, we get to the playoffs, but we know we don't punch in, we don't finish. So I'm pretty much just trying to finish camp the correct way and then get ready for the Bills. I'm not really trying to think about, the Super Bowl yet.
That's probably the way to go. I don't even view that as deflecting at all. I just think that's a smart way to handle the question. Quote, to be honest, I'm really not trying to think that far because every time we have those discussions, we get to the playoffs, but we don't punch in. We don't finish. I'm just trying to finish camp the right way and then get ready for the Bills. I'm not trying to think about the Super Bowl yet. Methodical. I like it. Present. I like it. Right? Strategic. I like this approach from Lamar, and we've seen it in recent years. So often, it was Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. And I think, this is slightly speculation, but I think he's made, whether it's indirect or direct, a concerted effort to not hide from it and not shy away from it whatsoever. He knows the guarantee that he made back in April of 2018, but not necessarily allow it to consume him so that while they're experiencing such incredible success from September up until the month of January, that you lose that enjoyment aspect of it. I think that's a real thing. And that's why I'm so strong against the Super Bowl or bust narrative. To me, there are only negative connotations that come along with it. It's a label that essentially alludes to, and this is where national media takes it, and so that all of a sudden it becomes a recycled talking point and fans start casually mentioning it, as they did during a couple training camp interviews that I saw on local news yesterday. The negative connotations that come along with it is if it's Super Bowl or bust in Baltimore, then if they fall short of it, no matter what they accomplished up until that February day, is a waste, isn't good enough, is a failure. And to me, that's hyperbolic. I view that as hyperbolic, very hyperbolic. And I think it demeans what the team has accomplished leading up until that point. The amount that needs to go right to achieve a Super Bowl, the list is endless. Laundry list doesn't even begin to describe it. Now, do I think that those aspirations are helpful and effective and are worthy? Of course. Everybody has those aspirations when you're suiting up as one of the 1%ers in the National Football League. And Lamar, of course, continues to have those aspirations. But if you allow it to overwhelm you and you allow it to consume you throughout the process that it takes, I think you just lose I really do think that you lose the enjoyment level of being in the moment. They have had some extremely special regular season campaigns, and I know for you, the fan, it hasn't been good enough, as it should be. You feel you deserve every right to feel extreme levels of disappointment that the way this team has been constructed to the elite level that it has by Eric DeCosta and his scouting department. It is a darn shame and a major disappointment that they have not reached the Super Bowl yet. But there's context as to why they haven't. Some of that is related to strategizing and game planning, i.e. the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. Some of that has been ball security. You can point to that against the Chiefs. You can certainly point to that in the divisional round game against Buffalo last year. I don't need to remind any of you about that. Some of it has been injury or health related. Look at the 2021 and 2022 seasons. Some of it has just been perhaps premature. I would argue 2019 against Tennessee. The Ravens weren't ready. They were not ready for that. And so I like the way that Lamar is handling this at this point in the Lamar era. He understands what's at stake. He understands the roster that he has in front of him. And I'm sure he understands the business part of this, knowing that as the year goes on, meaning as the years, plural, go on, more and more will it become difficult for Eric DeCosta and his front office to team build should they not get an extension done. I would think that that's got to be at the top of mind. It would not surprise me if a Lamar deal gets done before the end of this training camp, before the start of the season. Obviously, he's got a couple more years left. But the way that cap number continues to go up, up, up north, and astronomically so, it's going to put Eric and company in a tough position. So ultimately, the priority is clear. It's about now. It's win now mode. There's a sense of urgency in that building. It was palpable during Mark Andrews' press conference. And quite frankly, I think it's been a contagious spirit as I watch a lot of these interviews as training camp gets underway. Another piece to that puzzle is DeAndre Hopkins. Of course, in year one with the Ravens, on the back nine of his career and chasing a title. He's brought in to be wide receiver 3, if you will. Nelson Aguilar is out. D-Hop is in. Lamar, on one of his all-time favorite players, now being his teammate and manning up together for the first time.
One, D-Hop is a pro, all pro, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest in the league ever. So him just being a new addition going to make my job a lot easier, and me just being older and being in the league 8 years now, everything just pretty much just backhand. Like, I know everything like the back of my hand, and I'm knowing what I'm seeing out there from coverage-wise, a coverage standpoint. He just getting with me, it's like, it's going to be bread and butter when the time comes, but for right now, we just grinding. It's going to be a grind for the first day, and it's great. It's a great process. It's a great process. It's a learning process for both of us.
There's that word again, process. Everything's a process. Quote, for one, D-Hop is a pro, all-pro, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest in the league ever. So him being a new addition is going to make my job a lot easier. Quote, and me being older, being in the league 8 years now, I know everything like the back of my hand. I know what I'm seeing out there coverage-wise, and he's just getting with me now. It's going to be bread and butter when the time comes, but for right now, we're just grinding. What more could you possibly want to hear from your franchise quarterback and the player that enters the system now as the active most receiving yards leader currently in the National Football League? That's what DeAndre Hopkins has. That's the resume that he boasts. And the beauty of it is the Ravens don't need the DeAndre Hopkins of old. They need whatever's left. And they could use whatever's left. And I guess that's maybe even more of the beauty of it. They don't even need whatever's left. When you have Zay and Bate as the complementary duo that they became last year, and the top tight end room in the league, not to mention a bell cow in Derrick Henry, a superstar in Lamar Jackson, a speed demon in Keaton Mitchell, and the ever-reliable, versatile Justice Hill, and a stout offensive line that has some holes that need to be filled, obviously, and figured out at the guard. I mean, pretty darn good position to be in if you're a veteran in DeAndre. And now you can come up with situational awareness opportunities, right? When you got to move the chains and you need 4 and you're backed up in your own territory, perhaps DeAndre's number is called. When you're in the red zone and Lamar's in trouble and you got to loft the ball up there that's 50-50, you expect him to come down with it as the contested catch genius guy that he's been throughout his career. And of course, like Odell Beckham Jr. gave to this team a couple years ago, that veteran savvy, that locker room type of presence. If DeAndre Hopkins can give the Ravens all of that and more, don't you think that that's worth the price of admission? And again, it wasn't that much of a steep price to begin with. And the same can be said for Jair Alexander. That's why I commend how the Ravens front office attacked this offseason. And I continue to commend how Todd Monken continues to absolutely perform with such precision as the play caller in Baltimore over 2 seasons now. And it's year 3, and his job is just getting more and more difficult. But it's a good problem to have, isn't it? It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.